Welcome back to the Ben Smith Coaches Show here on BCHS.TV. If you want to watch our shows, simply go to YouTube, search for BCHS.TV. All our shows are free. When you get there, if you'll hit the subscribe button, anytime we have shows produced from the Bear Network, it'll notify you for your viewing pleasure. Always good to have Coach Ben Smith, our head wrestling coach here. And Ben brought a couple of special guests today, both of them with long hair, but one of them wrestles and one of them takes care of the wrestlers. So
That's
introduce
right.
who you have.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been a minute since I've had Bryson Terrell on. So he's one of our captains, senior defending state champion, #1 ranked kid in the state at 120 pounds. He's been down at 113 for the past 5 or 6 weeks while we have descended and tried to chase a dual title. And then, you know, I've been trying the past few weeks, not last week because I was solo, but the past few weeks to get our seniors. We've got a large senior class, and I thought, hey, I've got a senior manager, and Ariana's been with us. Ariana Steele has been with us for 3 to 4 years now, off and on. I even tried to talk her into wrestling a few years ago because her and Bryson are actually cousins.
Okay.
So yeah, she came to us. Were you at Ottawa your freshman?
Yes.
Yeah, she was actually at Ottawa her freshman year, and then transferred over to be with Bryson, and thought, you know, let's just get you on board here. She's a girls soccer player, and that's when we were starting the program, our female program. And we're like, man, we need girls soccer players. We need girls. We need athletic type girls. But she thought about it, didn't quite pull the trigger on it. But so she's been sitting on the side and traveling with us and taking care of me and these guys and girls for several years now. So I thought, you know, family affair. Let's get her on here.
What does being the manager for the rescue program consist of? What are your daily chores, you know, practice or during the matches or when you're on the road trips and all that? What all is involved for you there, Ariana?
So at practices, it's normally running the clock, make sure the music is going so it's not like dead silent and they have something to like get warmed up to and pumped up to. At matches, I normally keep the book, and then our other two managers either film or do the clock if we're at home matches. Traveling consists of a lot of sleeping, talking with Coach Smith. Yeah, that's really about it. When we do tournaments at home, I usually run the clock. I'm pretty good at that, but I focus about the book and being by Coach Smith at matches.
What got you interested in doing this kind of thing? I mean, you were a soccer player, and then you said, oh, I want to be a wrestling manager. Like that, or did he come begging and crying to get you? Or
really what happened is I rode with him to school every day, and he had wrestling practice, and I didn't start driving till after wrestling season. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be here anyways. Why not get into it? And then my first year, there was like a lot of ups and downs, but I knew that that's like something I enjoyed doing. I've always wanted to be involved in sports, whether it was playing it, doing manager, or whatever. At Ottawa, I was a baseball and football manager, so I knew that's something I wanted to do. And so I just, with Bryson being a wrestler, I just kept with it.
it's probably a lot more fun when you're doing all this work for an elite level team rather than someone who can't win a match to save their lives, you know. And obviously, it adds to the thrill. And, hey, I'm part of this great team here, you know, and all that. And I'm sure you'll testify. This girl's as important to you as about anybody you got out there. She can't go on the mat, but
No, she's very important to me. Ariana and I have a really unique, close relationship. Her dad and I went to school together, and you know, like the Ownbeys, the Steels they're all related, but you know, she she's going, finds out, I think she said today or tomorrow, if she gets into UTK, she wants to go into pre-law and be a lawyer. She's very sharp, she's very intelligent, and you know, she embodies a value or a characteristic that I really value, and that's called initiative. And I think, you know, I joke and kid like with my assistants and even with administration, I'm like, look, I'm a pretty good head coach, but I'm a great assistant. And I always joke because I think when I was Steve's assistant, I thought like a head coach, you know, and I took initiative. And Ariana, you know, through preseason, even though she's in soccer a lot, she always checks in, but then daily, she looks for things that need to be done that I don't have, that she knows that I look for. She takes care of things that are kind of detail oriented that maybe other coaches don't take care of, but she knows are a big deal to me. You know, whether it be coming and getting the roster, making sure it's updated. You know, if we value our kids being there, we have to take attendance, and we take, you know, when we hold people account. So like me, you know, her taking role and me going, holding 55 to 60 kids' feet to the fire and going, look, you weren't here yesterday. You thought you were blended in. Like, that's a big thing for me. It seems simple, but she walks in quietly. She gets the roster. She gets the music. And, you know, she does things for me without me having to ask that just, it allows me to be fully centered on practice, whether it be like yesterday, I'm in the office for 10 minutes while practice is getting going because I've got assistants and girls, coaches that need to talk to me, and we got situations we need to take care of. But she acts almost as like a mini coach in a lot of ways, and her and the other assistants, they really do. But the manager role, the most important manager role for me on the day-to-day basis is there's a certain way that we run practice, the ebb and flow of practice, and I'm very particular on that. And it's I think it's kind of what makes our program unique. But you know, stopping and starting the music and getting the time right, and there's not a lot of lag in our practice, and the managers allow that to happen. If they don't, it takes an elite level practice down to, you know, hey, would you start today? Like reset the clock, like stop, start. You know, because you know it's a 90 to 120 minute continuous clock, and we've got a lot of things going on, and our managers being able to anticipate and stop and start, man, it facilitates things so smoothly that, you know, there's days that I look over and I see her and the other managers, Kimber and Elsie, sitting there, and I'm like, man, I'm extremely grateful for them because we can't do what we do without them.
They're an important part there. Let's go back to you one more time here. You want to go to law school, or you want to be a prosecutor where you nail the criminal, you can be a defensive attorney where you get them out of trouble, you can be a civil attorney, or what? What do you think you'd like to do?
I'm looking more towards a prosecuting attorney. I know many people are like, why would you want to do that? But like, just in my state of mind, there's things that like, if you're a defense attorney, I could never bring myself to defend somebody who I know did something wrong. Yeah. And like, there's plenty of ways to prove somebody did something wrong when you have all the evidence and all of that. So I would rather put the people that are doing the wrong away rather than trying to keep them still in the world.
All right, well, I hope I never see you then. On the other side of the bar, so to speak there. Bryson?
Yes, sir.
We've had you on before, but bring us back up to date. When did you start wrestling, you know, and have you always been that size? I mean, he's talking about you playing up a little bit to 120, 113. Where are you at right now?
I started wrestling around 5th grade. My stepdad pushed me to do it for a little while, and I was like, man, I don't know about it. So finally came into the kids program at Bradley Pride. Got on there, wrestled up, ended up going to Lake Forest with Coach Insminger, and then finally came to Bradley with Coach Smith. I've always been a smaller guy. My 6th grade year, wrestled the smallest weight class in middle school for 2 years. Finally went up a little bit. My 2 years in high school, I wrestled 106, so 2 smallest weight classes again. Went up to 113 last year where I won it. And then now I'm up at 120 as the #1 ranked kid in the state, and hopefully going to stay that way.
All right. She's going to be an attorney. Where do you see yourself 20 years, 15, 20 years
I'm
after wrestling?
looking more so to the engineering path as being like a mechanical or chemical engineer, working out at like TVA and Balker and all those fun jobs.
Pretty smart kids you got here, Coach.
Well, I'm going to step in here, and I told Ariana I was going to embarrass her.
Oh, okay.
So
Here comes
this
the
is
good
what's
stuff.
going to happen.
Okay.
All right, Ariana has a plan to get in pre-law and do all this, but her real plan is to marry rich.
Oh,
and so that's why any time that we wrestle a private school, you see where I'm going with
Yeah,
it.
I see where you're going.
She is a private school snob when it comes to Baylor, Father Ryan, Macaulay. Ariana is
blushing.
front. Look at her. You can't. Ariana is front and center, and it's kind of turned into a joke. It'd be like, we'll go to tournaments, and I'm like, hey, we see a Christian Brothers kid from Memphis walk, but hey, do y'all know Ariana Steele? This is her handle on Instagram, you know, and it'll be like,
happened one time.
She'll flip her hair and it'll be like, they know me, you know? But you know, backing up to kind of what she was saying, you know, about the defense attorney side of things, like we hold our managers to that level of standard. Like I wouldn't surround myself with some, and that's a very valid point. Like I mean, that's your job, but like there's also a level of morality that, you know, if character, pride, and intensity are our virtues, and character, humility, and integrity are our values, you know, like I kudos to her for that. But you know, she and Elsa and Kimber, they operate in that same sphere that we do. And, you know, they serve as big sisters and mother type figures to our wrestlers. And so it's just great to have them around. And, you know, and Bryson's, you know, I mean, there's been times, and Bryson and I are very close to a certain extent. You know, that's good and bad at times. But, you know, there's been times where he's talked about getting into the education world and coming back and coaching. And you know, he's the first kid in a long time that I've had that it's been like, yeah, I could, you know, like Coach Logsdon was for Coach Jackson, and like Coach Insminger and Coach Blackman were for me. You know, and even, you know, there's been a couple kids in my 12-year stint as the head coach where it's like, you know, these are guys that you look at that might come back and take over, that might come back and pour into the program. Your Austin Matthewses, so to speak. But, you know, it's encouraging for me to hear that Bryson is looking elsewhere. You know, his mom and his stepdad, they're very successful. You know, his dad's very connected at TVA, and, you know, and it's one of the CTE push. It's one of the things that makes Bradley great is there's other ways to make a lot of money and to be successful in life outside of going to school and getting an education. And, you know, if that's a path that Bryson, you know, of course, if he's going to be an engineer, he needs to do that. He needs to go that path and then go to TVA. But, you know, the fact that we've got as many seniors as we do, and I know the majority of their plans, and it's all bigger than state championships that we hope to win.
You're right.
But it leads to life change and success in the future off the mat. Man, we're really excited about that.
Well, that sounds great. They've got their future sort of figured out there. Coach, bring us up to date. We had our show last Tuesday, so let's just Tuesday again. Let's see what's happened since then and move forward and see what's going on next.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is I've gotten in a better mood.
Yeah, you were a little...
Yeah, we were very somber last week. You know, again, still reeling from that loss to Cleveland in the state dual finals. It took our team a minute or two to recover. It even took us a round or two at the traditional region that we hosted. And again, you know, the first part of the postseason for wrestling is the dual season. Our team versus their team. A team tournament, and then you head into what we call the traditionals, you know, the traditional region, the traditional sectional, and the traditional state tournament. So that's where we're at now. We hosted the traditional region this weekend here at Bradley Central High School. We finished region runner-up by half a point to Cleveland, and again, it's just kind of been the story, you know, of our entire year. It's like if we can fire on all cylinders at all times, then we're going to be a dangerous team to wrestle. And we always have been, but and we saw signs of that again this weekend. We recovered well. We had a couple early, and all the losses that we had that affected that bottom line team score were early in the tournament. And again, you know, talking about if the head's sick, the body's sick. You know, I mean, I wrestled all last week with positivity and with my attitude and with just trying to shift gears and put my head around, you know, a disappointment, a devastating loss type thing. And I do think it affected the team. And, you know, our leadership, you know, you got a senior heavy team, and a lot of these guys, they've stuck with me and stuck with this program over the years. You know, it was devastating for them too. So amongst our staff and amongst that upper level of leadership and even that senior group, we were all kind of struggling. And I think it reflected a little bit on some of our younger guys because those earlier round losses were some of our younger guys. Some of our guys that are returning, some of those guys, like if Landon Goins, who got the call the night before at 11:30 to step in for Elijah McKenzie, you know, if he'd have won that first round match against Howard, we'd have won the tournament by half a point. If he'd have pinned, we'd have won it by 2.5 points. You know, and so you go up and down. You know, Aiden Hubbard steps in midweek for a senior. You know, he's winning in the semis against the number 1 seed. You know, and then he gets reversed to his back. You know, those moments are huge. But you know, but you look at it and you go, okay, we had 10 in the finals. Cleveland had 12. You know, that's about a 20-point difference. We only lost by half a point. So what does that tell me? That tells me that my guys were out there getting bonus points. They were winning matches on the backside of the bracket. You know, if you want to win a traditional tournament, you need to have a big semifinal round, and we did. Cleveland had a bigger one. But on the backside of it, we were pinning people. We were getting bonus points. And we qualified 14. They qualified 13. We were a half a point out of it. We've got 14 chances to get kids to the state tournament this weekend at the sectionals. They've got 13, you know, and And in all honesty, I told the guys coming into the tournament, I'm like, look, if we're going to win a state championship, that's a big ask. I feel like based off of the way that this week has went, that's a big ask. It looks like Cleveland has more firepower than us.
Well,
and then about midday, like one of my assistants came up to me at like 1 o'clock, and he's like, hey, if so-and-so and so-and-so, he's kind of being negative, but he was brought it to my attention. He goes, you know, it's so close right now. I'm like, dude, it ain't even close. We're getting the crap. I don't pay attention unless it's a dual meet. I don't pay attention to the team because I look at effort. I look at performance. And I'm like, it ain't even close. They're beating the bejesus out of us. He's like, no, we're only down by 6 points. I'm like, how? And then I started looking at it, and again, the negative mind, you know, that pessimistic mindset that I was in. I was focusing on the negative that I didn't get to look at the positive. And then when I really started looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so we finished the tournament going, we can win a state championship. So we got to wrestle well, but we can still win a state championship.
Sectionals this weekend?
Yep.
Where at?
Howard.
At Howard.
So it's our half of the region's chance to host the section. And so Howard drew, you know, the first one for our side. They wanted it. We're going to go down there and support them. Our parents up front, they're going to charge you for parking, so don't get mad at Howard. I get it.
They do for basketball too.
They're going to charge you for parking.
Yeah.
They should. So be kind to them. We're going to weigh in from 7 to 8. No, yeah, 8 to 9, and we're going to wrestle at 10. But it's Region 4 and Region 3, top 4 in we're what's called Section 2. And then the top 4 of that go to a 16-man state tournament bracket.
Top 4 in each weight class then.
Correct.
All right. And by the way, Howard, if it's like basketball, they don't take cash at the door. You have to use your phone if you
You got to do. Hey, thank you for that. So we may need to get that GoFan link. So maybe Coach
Yes.
Ramsey will get that to me this week, and I can get it to our fans.
At least that's the way it was basketball the last 2 or 3 years.
I'm sure
It
they'll
started when
have
Kobe did that, but I'm
Sure.
sure it'll be the same thing.
Sure.
there. Well, Howard's close by and all that, and you're taking 14 guys in there. Your most optimistic outcome, you know, how many of those guys can you
Realistically, being, and I'm not a pessimist, I'm a realist. You know, you got to factor in some upsets. But after looking at the brackets, I really think that we can get 12 kids to the state tournament.
Wow.
I really do. We need 12 kids because here's what's going to happen, and I'm not complaining about our region or our sectional, but you got us, Cleveland, Walker Valley, and the smattering of our region that's pretty good, and then you combine it with Blackman and Oakland, both 2 top 8 teams.
Yeah.
On top of the good Siegel kids, the good Stewart Creek kids, the good Riverdale kids. Like, man, like our sectional is brutal. And Wilson Central and Summit and Dobbins Bennett are in, and I'm just going to say it publicly, they're in some softer sectionals. Us and Cleveland are going to be knocking each other off to get to the state tournament. And Joey and I, you know, contrary to popular belief, we do get along fairly well to a certain extent, but we were talking about it Saturday, and I'm like when they made this sectional thing happen and they combined our region, we started looking at it going, man, if Wilson Central, Dobbins Bennett, or Blackman or Oakland are going to sneak up on us, it would be us knocking each other off. You know, I mean, if we send 10 kids to the state tournament, Dobbins Bennett's going to send 14. You know, they got 4 more guys. If those 4 guys score 4 points each, that's 16 points that, you know, and we've got 9 or 10 guys each, 10 or 12. That's why I'm saying, like, if we get 12 kids there, we got 12 kids who are going to score points. You know, now they might have 14 and 4 of their kids not win a match, but still, it's opportunities. So we're going to have to wrestle well this weekend. But looking at the brackets, if we do what Bradley does and we do what we're supposed to do, and we use your word execute, we're going to be fine.
Well,
you know, and we had a good day of practice. We're fairly healthy. We got a couple things we got to work through, but we'll be fine.
I was going to ask you about your health status at this time. You don't want to get anybody with the cold or whatever.
It could
any type of
change
illness
at any moment.
Yeah, it's
Like-
like any sport, you know.
This is the time of year where literally I try to physically put my eyes on every kid throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know, like even when they don't know I'm finding them, like I'll find some reason to be like, all right, you know, especially in my administration block first period, I'll pull their schedules up and I'll visit, you know, I'm peeking classrooms and looking around and whatnot. Yeah, it's, you know, part of my daily and nightly prayers with myself and with my family are a lot of times is like this time of year, because you got a kid like Bryson, he's got a chance to win a second state title. He's got a chance to be outstanding wrestler of the state of Tennessee. He's already got a Division I scholarship worth $139,000+. You would hate to see something derail that based on just a common cold or an illness, because it can happen. And so, we talk about controlling the controllables. I mean, if I can't control that, but I can control my prayer life. If I can pray some safety and some health over my kids, because you get hit with the flu 2 days out from the sectional tournament, it's devastating.
Yep.
So, as long as we stay healthy, and I think we will, we'll be okay.
If somebody is sick, who makes the last call on it? Do you say, well, Bryson, you just don't look like you're weak or whatever? The trainer, I mean, is it a mutual decision that you make? I mean, it's got to be a tough call. Got to be.
The right thing to do, if we are who we say we are, and we live in a black and white world, the right thing to do is if they're 24 hours fever-free, they can wrestle.
Okay.
If they're not fever-free, you probably don't need to wrestle them. So what that turns into is you better be careful what you tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you better, if you're sick and you don't want me to know it, you better not let me know it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But our program kind of operates that. We're very transparent, and I talk about this at our parent meetings at the beginning of the year, and especially coming out of a pandemic and being in a post-pandemic area, you've got to be careful with that, because the last thing you want to do is, let's say he's sick and he's got a 99.9 degree fever, and I send him out there and he wrestles Zach Boskin in the finals. Now all of a sudden, not only did I compromise my kid, what if it's not the flu? What if it's mono and he busts his spleen? And then all of a sudden, now the trickle down effect. Doing the right thing is sometimes the hardest thing to do. But we've got to be very cognizant. We're handing out waters and vitamin C packets, and we're talking about opening doors with your sleeve and just quit kissing your boyfriend and your girlfriend. Limit who you're riding in cars with.
Stay away from sick people.
Yeah.
Don't go to the nurse's office.
So, stuff like that. So.
College scholarship in hand, huh?
Yes, sir.
Where's that to?
It's to Appalachian State.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful place up there in Boone.
I love it.
He's gonna love it. Gonna give me. I was born in Johnson City, so he's got to give me a reason to go up there and see my family and go watch them wrestle a little bit. And being a Chattanooga Mock, that's hard for me to say, because Appalachian State's usually kind of like our main. Them and Campbell are like our main rivals, but it's gonna be. They are black and gold, so I can actually wear something black and gold and go up there and support them. But go up there and maybe do a little snow skiing and see the family. It'd be nice to go see him wrestle.
Yeah, it will be. Man, I tell you what, Coach, been a great show as always.
Sure.
Thank you for coming by. Terrell, best of luck.
Yes, sir.
Get to the state, get you that state title again. Ariana, keep these guys straight. I know
I'll
it's
try my
hard
best.
to do. And don't be kissing on your boyfriend and come around these guys.
It's private
spreading
school.
germs.
Yeah. I heard she's got a Polk County boyfriend. I don't believe
There we
it.
go.
It must be like they must own a lot of land or something. I won't believe it until I see it.
Lord.
But that's what I've heard.
So she uses short sentences and small words when talking to her.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Sorry to our Coach German and all.
We love everybody.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
We love Polk County. They're sweet.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, wish you the best luck, Coach. So,
Yeah, man. We'll do it again next week.
yes, sir. Until next time, we'll say so long for now. God bless and go Bears and bless the Bearheads.